I'm gonna add someone. Yours. And that's going to be light. Okay, cool. Share with everyone. Share with everyone. Jonathan Huggins. Done. Bring them on camera. Add. There you go. Because I was watching.
Hi.
So Jonathan there. Sorry. Jonathan, I have a Samsung phone. It's not friendly to me putting my phone in the other direction like this.
Ah,
So it was on turning off. So unfortunately, we're going to have to be portrait mode instead of landscape. That's okay with you?
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
I also have a fancy tripod that I bought, which I can't use right now. So it doesn't
I
matter.
have a
But the important
fancy
thing here,
I have a fancy coffee cup with lots of pencils and utensils to hold the phone up.
that's what you should use. So in any case, thank you very much for your patience. Thanks for being here. Merci beaucoup d'être ici, Jonathan. Tu me disais que
Yeah,
tu parles
merci.
français aussi?
Oui, merci. Merci pour
Oui.
l'invitation. Thank you for the invitation. So, it's a
Yeah.
pleasure to get a chance to talk with you and
Yeah.
yeah, hear more about yeah, LangFest. I've heard great things about it, and just want to
It's
say
been
hi
fun.
to a couple people.
My coffee cup mold is not exactly perfect yet, but I'm working on it. Let's see. But you know what? Keep on. We're happy that people are joining, and Jonathan and I have been talking for a few weeks about doing this, and we finally succeeded in making the time. So thank you very much for accepting.
Oh,
And yes, this is about LangFest. LangFest is about celebrating languages, and it's an event that happens in Montreal, which we hope that you can make it someday to us. I know you're coming from pretty far away. You're living in Mexico right now.
yeah, I live in
So
Mexico City, and but currently I'm visiting Los Angeles for a few days. But yeah, I hope this summer I can get a chance to head out to Montreal. That would be excellent because I know a lot of fellow language learning friends and bloggers have had really good things to
yeah.
say about the festival. And
Have you ever
so
been to Montreal before? Or
I've
this would be
I've
your first time?
visited yeah, I visited about it was like 12 years ago for the first time, but I need to go back. I would yeah, and I think the Langfest would be an excellent opportunity to
Absolutely.
coordinate the trip and the conference.
Well, that's it. Montreal in the summer is very nice, and it's one of the reasons why people appreciate it as a venue for this event. Um, so it's a good excuse to come and visit the city if you haven't done it before. But it's also an excuse for language learners, I guess, all across North America to have the chance to interact and see each other, something that we don't get the chance to do very often. Many of us are in contact online
Hmm.
like I started, I guess, following you a couple of months ago because you were, I guess, playing a very good role of being a cheerleader for me when with my language vlogs that I was doing in German and that I will continue to do. It's a very good idea. The principle is wonderful. Put yourself out there, and even if it's just a 1 minute capsule, do it every day. It promotes regularity, and you're forced to take that minute to do something cohesive, concrete, or at least as concrete as you can make it in your target language, which I think is very, very important. So, hi, Lasidi Abdallah and Darwish Mansour. I'm very happy that you're joining us. Um, this is an event for everyone, and it celebrates, I guess, people from every culture and every language. We all come from different backgrounds. I think you're in Mexico City. It seems to be a fairly international, multicultural city too. It's so big, you must have some of everything there.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a very vibrant French-speaking community that I interact with. My wife is French Mexican, and my kids go to a French Mexican school, so we're surrounded in like a very kind of bilingual, trilingual environment.
Yeah.
And I've had friends from um, Central South America, and I know other people from Europe,
Hmm.
and so yeah, you do get a really interesting mix of people. It is a I heard recently that it's like a Manhattan of the Americas for the Spanish speaking world. Mexico City, I
So
think it's
something
really
like
big.
that, yes. I think there's probably as many people in Mexico City than there is in all of Canada.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it's
Almost,
crazy. I think there's
almost.
20 million people. Um, like my neighborhood might have more people in it than the city I grew up in. So
I wouldn't be surprised. So I guess languages is something that you've always been around, or it's something that you picked up later on when you were in school and university. How did you get your passion for language learning, Jonathan?
yeah, yeah. I didn't grow up directly in it. It wasn't until I got like my first year of high school. So yeah, that started with like Spanish, my first year of high school. And then I caught the language bug. I did 2 years of Spanish and then continued with Spanish and then brought in my first year of French.
Mm-hmm.
And by the last year of high school, I was doing like Spanish 4 AP, which is like an advanced placement course that could lead to college credit. I'd skipped the second level of French, and my teachers encouraged me to go to like level 3 French.
Mm-hmm.
And at a local community college, I wanted to start taking conversational German. So I started doing that in the evenings because they didn't have German at my high school. So I just was immersing myself as much as I could. Um, so later on, then uh, my French teacher for high school, he took us on a trip, like a 2 week trip to Europe for the first time. So we were in Geneva for a week and then Paris for a week, and that just kind of like my drop my jaw because I was just like, oh my gosh, Europe, they speak so many languages. This is wonderful, and I wanted to move back, so I sped up my university studies, and instead of doing it in 4 years, I did it in three. So so I could go move abroad to Paris, and yeah, it's been like a living abroad for the last 15, 16 years. So um,
Um,
it all got
Mostly in
started with
Mexico, I guess.
language learning. Sorry?
You've mostly been in Mexico, I guess.
Yeah, it's now been about 9 years in Mexico, and before that, 6 years in Paris. And yeah, all of that is thanks to language learning. So yeah, really you don't know what life can present to you if you start learning languages and open new doors and travel
It does,
opportunities
it does,
and people you can
it
meet.
does. When I was, you're drinking your coffee, and it makes me think about this morning that you thought you were it was 6 o'clock and it was really 5 in the morning or 4:55, and I'm like, okay, well, did you go back to bed or?
No, I think I'm like between two time zones, and then I have my the the hour on my phone, so I don't mess up with my teaching schedule later. So as it synchronizes with Google Calendar, so traveling can kind of get you 1 hour off in such a way. But yeah,
Mhm.
coffee's helping. But
Very cool. We have Carol Todd that is saying hi. I think you've invited some people from your community also to
yeah,
come up.
Carol has been an
So
excellent member. I also see here Tatiana has been joining from Russia, and I see Andrew here as well.
yeah.
So yeah, it's great to see a lot of these people that have been participating in the 30-day speaking challenge, which
Mhm.
is similar to what you were mentioning there about kind of making some daily recordings. That's really what the dynamic is based in that challenge. It is a struggle. It is a daily struggle. It is a challenge. I struggle with this as myself as well to try to put something out there each day. But I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are getting benefit from that encouragement and support for do a little bit each day, kind of put your little grain of sand and then watch this accumulate. Um, I've experienced this with my own progress where a little bit each day helps. And it's kind of like a message in a bottle. You just record something, put it out there. Hopefully, somebody will get a chance to watch or review or give you some feedback. And later on, it becomes like a time lapse of videos or photos to see where you used to be with your language progress and where you are now. It becomes a nice kind of a like a, as you said, a vlog diary of your language progress.
Hmm. That's it. I think the whole concept of creating some kind of online support community for you while you're going through your language. I think when you learn the language, it's something that you do a lot on your own. There's a lot of work that you have to do. You have to read, you have to practice, you have to listen to absorb content in one way or another. And sometimes you absorb, but you have that barrier that you're not talking, you're not trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together and stuff like that. So doing a 1 minute broadcast, even if you're the only one that's listening to it, is very, very worthwhile. And now with the community that you've created around your 30-day challenge, your monthly challenge,
Mm-hmm.
there's a big bunch of people that you're all disconnected from each other, but we sort of get together through this amazing thing called the internet or the web in order to support one another and be there for each other, I guess, as we go about the, the little tribulations of learning a new language. Exchanging with people, I think, is one of the key components of being able to talk, being able to learn. I know for me, certain languages, I grew up with them from when I was a young age, so I can say that I had three from a young age, and then I picked up on Spanish fairly fast and Portuguese also, and that was sort of my base: French, English, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese. And after that, ever since then, I've been trying to learn more languages like Romanian, German, and I've dabbled in many because once you have the language bug, your mind is like so curious about everything. Arabic, Japanese, Mandarin, Turkish, you name it, it's all of interest. So that brings me to understand or have an appreciation for people like yourself that maybe were not in that context where from a young age were exposed to languages because it takes a lot of work. It really does. And when I see people that come to LangFest, like the first time that we did this, it was called NAPS, and it was sort of
North
the North
American
American Polyglot Symposium.
polyglot symptom.
It was a spin-off of, I guess, this movement that was created when they brought the polyglot conference to Montreal, to New York.
Mm-hmm.
People wanted to have a venue to be able to get together at least once a year and just be able to exchange and meet and talk about languages and stuff like that, and meet other people that are afflicted with the same disease of wanting to learn languages. Because a lot of people don't understand us, but when we're together, we realize you're not alone. There's many people out there, and I guess through your channel, we do a little bit of that too. We realize that hey, there's these bunch of people that we all support one another and things of the sort, and that's really fantastic. So your channel in itself, Jonathan, it's always on the first of every month. I think you actually have a
Mm-hmm.
Facebook page and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah,
What is
so yeah, it starts on as 30 days, it goes from day one of the month to day 30. February is a little strange because there's just 28 days, but we just
the
went into the first few days of March to finish it. But basically, it starts on the first of the month. People sign up and they receive a daily email with a set of maybe a question or a prompt, something that they can talk about. It's also very
Mm-hmm.
flexible, so people are welcome to adapt those prompts
Yeah,
to their level or their needs, and then just get started making a short recording, and then share that with the community. Um, and like you said, there's a small Facebook group where we have people also sharing their videos and having discussion topics and sharing advice and getting recommendations for different languages. So no matter what language somebody is learning, they're welcome to join. And we try to encourage people to give each other support as much as possible.
mm-hmm.
It's a little tricky sometimes to get direct like feedback on the recordings all the time, but it does help people kind of work with accountability, daily practice.
Exactly.
Um,
These are all good practices. When you start doing the ritual of doing your language learning, an hour a day, 15 minutes a day, whatever the amount is, uh, put in more time, you'll learn faster. But even a small nominal amount of time, through eventually you'll start absorbing and getting more languages, a better knowledge, I guess, of the language that you're trying to learn. So the most important thing is to get into the habit of
mhm.
doing something in that language, no matter what it is, every day. Or in,
Yeah, definitely starting small. Like it's like training a muscle. If you do this a little bit each day, it gets easier. I've heard, I think you spoke a few times ago with Trisha Collins Dunbar, and I heard her speaking in about her program, and she was mentioning like, well, how often do you brush your teeth? Do you do you do this every day, or do you do it once a week? So I think
yeah,
for language learning, if you do a little bit each day, and even if you do it twice a day, that's even better. But
yeah,
if you do a little bit, this does accumulate like a muscle, like a sport. It's more effective a little bit, so that you don't necessarily like just get exhausted by doing way too much one day and getting burnt out and then letting it kind of fade away. Um, the habit starts to build up after a couple of weeks. Unfortunately, it is very easy to break that habit, but we're not there to discourage or criticize people who like struggle with this. We all do this, myself included. There's a lot to going on each day, but it's a welcoming community to try to kind of make the most of each day. Not necessarily feel like you have to catch up and do 20 recordings because you've missed a couple days or something. But yeah, a little bit each day helps. It does accumulate, and certainly if you're not necessarily comfortable to have a conversation yet, this is one way to work on different topics that could be parts of conversations. And little by little,
mm-hmm.
you are practicing your speaking muscles or reviewing vocabulary words, testing the limits of what you're able to say, and checking grammar points to see if you understand them. I think some people might be a little nervous about making mistakes, but that's part of the process. And I try to encourage people to like welcome the mistakes as an opportunity to learn from them and improve upon them and kind of test the chinks in the armor, so to say, and kind of see
Exactly.
where you need to kind of fix this or fix that, like a leaky boat kind of a thing, and then move on. And this, yeah, I've seen this for myself with getting more and more comfortable with the conversation later on through these little monologues or um, and people are
I think
it, yeah.
it permits to break the ice
Mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm,
sometimes we know a lot more than we let on,
mm-hmm,
and um, because we're afraid to talk, I guess we don't really start progressing. Even sometimes when you do speak a language, but you don't speak it very often, just the fact of being around people and having to talk, all of a sudden it's like, your brain your brain can't, the words can't come out properly, stuff like that. I remember a couple of years ago, I had met some people from that speak Romanian at this Mundolingo events that we have in Montreal a couple of times a week. It's a great community. We're very fortunate to have them here, and there's a lot of Romanians in Montreal, so everybody knew that I was trying to learn Romanian, so they would put me like there's this girl who's like, oh, he speaks Romanian, and they were trying to talk with me, and I was like, I can't say nothing. I remember the next day I went on Italki and I said, okay, I'm going to go and try to find someone that I can just try to have a conversation with for an hour and see if I can do it. And then, I had the conversation like 2, 3 hours with a couple of different persons and I could talk. And I said, why couldn't I do this the other day when I was with other people? And it's like sometimes your brain just freezes because you don't have that habit of talking. So hi Javier, uh, your habit of doing those vlogs sort of forces you to break out from just keeping it inside your head and learning and just
mm-hmm.
talking and even looking at yourself in the videos and stuff like that. You can see certain things. You can correct your pronunciation because sometimes you have no idea what you're going to sound like until you actually hear yourself.
Yeah, it is for a lot of times it's the brainstorming, thinking, what am I going to say? And then just saying it. And I mean, I first encourage people probably first with a recording, audio recording, so that they're not necessarily worried about like what's in the background or how do I look on camera, my makeup, my hair, that kind of stuff. It's because that can sometimes be an obstacle for just getting started speaking. So I sometimes just tell people do the recording. But you do see on video, you can see uh, glasses.
Sorry, that was distracting.
You can see
Go
some
back to the
things about your body language with that you might not observe when you're speaking. So things that just come to your mind and that you say, because there's a lot of people say like, I know this grammar point, I know that vocabulary word. Why couldn't I do it under pressure or
yeah,
recording?
exactly.
And that is part of the training process where you do also need to practice under pressure and see how would you react. So it's one thing to be like preparing, practicing in like perfect conditions, but in a conversation,
Hmm.
you'll be kind of put on the spot, ask a question or comment on something somebody said. So those things need to be trained as well. And it's, yeah, little by little, it gets easier. Just because it's
Exactly.
difficult on day one doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be difficult on day 30. It does get easier. There's lots of people
Hmm.
who've been commenting like they had to do lots of preparations, lots of notes, review lots of grammar and prepare vocabulary lists. And it was overwhelming. They did like 2 hours of preparations for like 2 minutes of video on day one.
Yeah,
And then little by little, by like the third week, they're like, oh, I'm just improvising my videos now. I feel comfortable
yeah.
with that. I don't have to think so much. I don't have to prepare so much. So the prep time does start to reduce and the confidence starts to kind of increase and the comfort with speaking gets easier over a
That's
couple
it.
of weeks.
I think that's one of the cool things about this. By the way, Tetsu, the co-organizer of the Montreal LangFest, could not join because he was traveling, and I think he's in Japan or in China right now. but he's
Mm.
watching us at distance. So let's just wave and say hi, Tetsu.
Hi, that's it.
In any case, he
Safe
really
travels.
wanted to be here. He couldn't, but we're happy, very happy that you accepted to come with us, Jonathan, because my goal with this Facebook Live event that we do for LangFest is to get people from the language community to come together. And when I go online and I have exchanges with people and stuff like that that I think are contributing positively to the language learning community effect and stuff like that. Um, I try to reach out to them and tell, hey, come on our channel and let's talk and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool that you accepted to do so, because I think what you're doing and what a lot of other people are doing all around the world is really helping bridge the gap and bring people together and open us up to languages and stuff like that. And I think this is wonderful. So you're doing really great work, and I know you're involved in a lot of little things. Most of the uh, most of the vlogs and stuff like that, or the language posts that you do, you mostly do it through Instagram. Am I correct in my assumption? Or you do it through
Um,
Twitter? Where's the best channel to join your group and do
oh, okay.
whatever it is?
Yeah, if people are interested in joining this on day one, they can go directly to my website, which is hugginsinternational.com. I'll write this as a comment. Um,
Okay.
let me see if I can do this as a comment. This is and slash 30-day speaking challenge. Hopefully this link pops up correctly. Typing under pressure. Um,
Mhm.
hopefully that shows up. Yeah. Yeah, that should
30-day
that should
speaking challenge.
take
That's it.
people directly to the landing page that talks about the 30-day challenge, and that from there they'll join the waiting list for the next starting month. So
Which is going to be April 1st, I guess now.
yes, the next one starting will be April 1st, and that'll go from April 1st to April 30th. But if you're watching this as a replay, the challenge keeps going each month. So that same link will work for each month. It becomes a waiting list, and then people start to receive an email. Your question about like where am I posting my own videos and audio recordings? I think for a long time organizing this, I was a bit of a wallflower as well. So I was posting my audio links as like a voice, what is it, SpeakPipe voice recorder, where it's just audio, and I would kind of post it on the Google form and the Google Sheet, and just kind of be kind of like a in the background as an organizer. And I didn't want to draw too much attention to myself, but I think you saw in Paulino Brenner's language learning summit in February, there was a talk from Camila Tekken.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
she was promoting heavily using Instagram as a great platform for sharing her language videos.
Exactly.
So I think that probably inspired you. That also inspired me to say like, okay, I need to put myself out there. I wasn't really using my Instagram account very like putting my face out there so much. So I started
Yeah.
making more daily videos and um, kind of taking some of it off of the SpeakPipe, just the audio link to put it on Instagram. I'm still figuring out an Instagram strategy to interact with people, but I think just maybe leading through an example, promoting these vlogs and um, little videos. I think it's helping
Hmm.
encourage some other people to take initiative and just meet with other people. Another person I should highly recommend is Katie Harris of Joy of Languages. So she organizes on Instagram. She has a hashtag um, language diary challenge, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Okay.
mhm. And she also encourages a very similar process of documenting what
Yeah,
you're
note that
learning.
down. Joy of Languages. I've
Joy of
heard her
Language.
name before, but I didn't know that she did sort of the same approach of doing a daily or.
Yeah, you can find a
Have it
hashtag. It's um, language diary challenge.
hmm That's very good. Um, Camila in itself, I think we're going to have a talk with her in a couple of weeks.
Oh, I would highly
I've been
recommend it. She would be a
exchanging with
great
her.
guest.
um, I've been exchanging with her for a little while. She's really great, and she's gotten a very big following in not so long. But her videos are really fun. I don't have any good material for that. Hers are amazing. She puts a lot of work into her videos. Like she does some on chocolate and on all kinds of things, and uh, I enjoy them. So
Yeah, I think she's
hopefully,
definitely one to follow for getting like using Instagram, using YouTube, and sharing her kind of language learning journey. So there's a lot of people to
exactly.
follow, definitely. Um,
Yeah,
it's yeah, great to connect with all these people, especially yourself, and see how what you're doing with LangFest and also with
yeah.
Tetsu and
We're doing some
so.
pretty amazing things, and we're very excited to get some really cool speakers that are going to be coming to Montreal this summer. We're going to have Connor Klein, Jan Vanderha. Um, it's going to be announced very soon, but we're also going to have. I'm a German. I'm trying to learn German, so I've been following this girl that I think is really cool, Anya Winters. She does Learn German with Anya,
Mm.
learning German with Anya, something like that. Learn German with Anya, and she's going to be coming to the Montreal. And it's the first time, although she's like really big and she has more than 100,000 followers, I think, on YouTube or something like that. She's never been to an event like this. So when I reached out to her, she said, "Wow, this is such a cool idea. You guys get together, you talk about languages, you have conferences, a whole week or 3, 4 days
Hmm.
with topics just on language learning and I it's not just language learning. There's workshops, there's things on linguistics, anything and everything related to culture, language, and stuff like that are part of what could potentially be on the agenda. So in any case, she's one of the big persons that's coming to Montreal, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her. So that's I'm going to get quite a kick out of that. Last year we had the little girl from Russia, Bella.
Oh yeah,
You
I've
know,
seen videos of her, and yeah, that
she's
was
was
very
5 years
impressive.
old.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
impressive. Like 6, 7 languages.
yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah, yeah. So now she's 5 and she speaks 8. That's amazing. I think she speaks Italian better than I do, which is sad for me, but I mean great for her.
So
Either way,
I'll
yeah,
be
she's
a
quite a
translator,
phenomenon.
interpreter when she grows up. So, yeah.
So I don't know what, I mean, the sky's the limit when you're like that and you're 5. But the parents work very, very hard to create an environment for her where she will learn a lot of like you're doing with your children. What do you have? A daughter, a son?
Yeah, I have a 5-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. They're growing up trilingually, so I'm definitely observing what they say, and I try to encourage them to speak English. But there's a funny anecdote my dad was reminding me of, saying like I was trying to encourage my son to speak English with me, and he said, "No, I can't. My teeth are Mexican. I have to speak Spanish."
That's great. I hope you tape that or no, 'cause that would be like you could tell them about that later on and
Yeah.
make fun
Well,
of them.
but my
He's
daughter
too
is
young
definitely
for I
trying
thought
to
3 years.
practice her English, and she sometimes finishes my thoughts. I'll say, "Where did you put your?" He's like, "Your shoes." Oh, yes, yeah, your shoe. Yeah, so she'll finish my thoughts in English. So
That's good.
there's hope
Yeah,
for the little trilingual family shaping up. But yeah,
yeah,
we do
that's
some
it.
fun games when we're in the kitchen or playing or in the car. We try to encourage them to practice languages, or I'll tell them something and say, "Well, tell mommy this in French or tell mommy that in Spanish." So they kind of translate and practice
Yeah,
without realizing it. They're kind of just growing up in that
yeah,
environment.
yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's a lot of work, but at the same time, it's I think they will all benefit from it later on because they're exposed to the languages from a young age. The connections are made in such a way, I think that everything else after that, since they're already open, the curiosity to languages is already there. I remember when I was young, didn't necessarily speak all those languages, but I could identify them. I had a lot of friends that were Greek, and I would see somebody, I said, oh, that person's talking Greek. I don't understand a word. But the language, I was already familiar with it because I had a lot of Greek friends and I knew what Greek sounded like. And that's part of, I guess, part of making the ear for languages. I think this is not scientific. This is just Joey-ific, what I just stated. But in any case, that's it. There's one last thing I'd like to ask you, Jonathan.
Mhm.
In a, in a couple of months, LangFest is sort of going to do a language challenge for
Mm,
people to do put themselves out there, I guess, a little bit like you're doing, and take on doing a actively learning a language. We're going to ask them to do. We're still looking at the format, how we're going to do it. Last year we had done a three language, so you had to record a video of yourself speaking three languages
mm,
at the
mhm,
beginning, and then a month later or something like that.
mm, mhm,
And we're looking for people um, like yourself, I guess, that are into doing those language challenge and things of the
mhm.
sort to help sort of collaborate and spread the word and things like that. And maybe you can give us a hand with that
Oh, I'd love
later
to.
on.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas I could help you kind of brainstorm and see what would
That's
be a
it.
great way to
Maybe.
help grow the LangFest buzz before the festival
Mhm.
and get the word of mouth
Yeah,
out there.
and that's it. And make it not just about um, the important thing is it has to be simple enough for people to want to participate. And two, they have to get something out of it. I mean, they really have to learn and like appreciate the experience of having gone through the process of going from a language where you were not that strong at and being able to measure that through the daily ritual, they got to a certain level. Uh, in Europe, they have very scientific for A, B, C, A1, A2,
Mm-hmm.
whatever stuff like that. I have only three levels, which is zero, caveman, or that you can speak. So, if you go from zero to caveman, fantastic. That if that's what you want to reach, or you go from caveman to being able to be fluent and being able to be conversational in that language, then that's wonderful too. My goals for German are to get to caveman, so I'm almost there. I'm
Yeah, I
getting.
think I heard you talking about that with Elisa. So, but yeah, I think yeah, there's a lot of ways to combine the common European framework with those like A1, A2, B1, B2. I don't necessarily want to encourage everybody to become C1, C2. I mean, that's native speaker, but uh, most people, I think they can get by in a conversation around this kind of B1
Yeah,
level,
exactly.
and start thinking in the language and react without having to translate so much. But um, and even taking like a Benny Lewis approach of like speak from day one, I think there are ways to
Hmm.
get started with that
There's
process.
when you try to learn, I think you borrow from many different sources. I borrow and I get inspiration from Benny Lewis and his go out there and talk approach.
Hmm.
I get inspired by many different things. I mean, the good thing about being the co-organizer of Langfest is you're in touch with so many people that are so amazing that you can't do anything else than be inspired to say, hey, I have to put myself out there and learn and like get better on those languages and things of the sort. So you still procrastinate. I think it's human nature. However, it's sort of you have I guess, a little bit of a friendly pressure, let's call
Yeah.
it, to uh, to improve your languages. I guess.
Hmm.
At least for me, I find it very motivating, and that's why I love being around people like yourself and Camilla and Elisa, who speaks like 12, 13 languages now or
Hmm.
something like that. She was telling us the other day, and you guys are great. You guys are great. It's very fantastic. So I appreciate very much that you took the time to speak with me.
And thank you again for
Uh,
the invitation. Yeah, this has been fun
it,
getting a chance to talk with you a little bit, and to hear, yeah, how about your process. And but like, I definitely agree. Yeah, I would say organizing a small challenge and watching it grow, it has held me to higher standards for my own language learning. I mean, like just like you're saying right now, I surround myself with really talented language learners, and I'm learning from them as much as they might be getting some advice or tips from me. So it's like really cool to create a community around a goal like language learning. Yeah, the more context you make with
that's it.
people, the better you will achieve your goals in the long term.
That's it. And I think it's for the benefit of everyone.
Hmm.
There's nobody loses in this. It's a win-win for everyone involved. So, so once again, thank you very much for accepting to come online.
Thank you.
Maybe we get the chance to chat again before LangFest. We'd love for you to be able to make it if you want to come.
Yeah,
You know, you're our guest. You're our
fingers
guest.
crossed. Fingers crossed. Yeah. So,
Okay?
yeah, I'd love to
We'll roll
come.
up our
And
market for you.
thank you again. Mhm.
Okay, so Facebook Live, I think we managed it pretty well. We had a little bit of technical glitches at the beginning, but this went okay.
Yeah,
I
and
enjoyed
I
it.
just want to say thank you to all the people who I notice here from my community or other communities. Thank you for joining and thank you for watching. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for leaving comments and questions we can answer.
That's it. So Langfest, August 21st to 26th in Montreal. Everyone's invited to come on over. Language challenge through Jonathan's site, which you can sign up on. The information is in the in the comments here. And there's a new challenge that's starting on April 1st, but also on the 1st of every month.
Mhm.
So just get out there and learn and enjoy the process of getting better at your target language. Thanks a lot, and have a very nice afternoon,
Thank
Jonathan.
you.
I look forward to exchanging with you again. Have a great
Thank you.
day.
You too.
Bye.
Likewise, have a great day.
Bye, everyone.